Oh man, tough one. A tough one. A tough loss at the Garden. New York Knicks fall short to the Chicago Bulls. Man, it was a brutal loss. I'm Chris LeBron. I'm hosting today Knicks Fan TV, presented by Manscaped. I'm here with my co-host Jeff. Jeff, man, how we feeling, man?
I'm 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 not devastated, but I'm not feeling good, man. I know we'll get into a lot of this, but two missed free throws. We felt like we had a pretty good go of it. A little bit of lack of execution down the stretch. It's a tough loss. The sky is not falling, but this one definitely hurts.
Yeah, this one definitely hurt. Like, it was a back and forth battle. It felt like, I mean, I think the Knicks' biggest lead was maybe what, 7, 8 points, so, but for the most part, it was a back and forth battle throughout the whole game. And like I said, it didn't, both teams shot what, 50, Chicago shooting close to 50%. We shot over 50%. Everyone was hitting their threes, felt like, but one of we did not capitalize on free throws. And it takes away from RJ's absolutely magnificent game. He absolutely just to me, I think it's his best game as a pro, because at all three levels RJ was on. He was in his bag, and it's something we've been waiting to see, like, and with his game, and we got that, but it just couldn't hit free throws. Jeff couldn't hit free throws. It's man, it spoils a special game from him that we just couldn't capitalize on hitting free throws, and just couldn't get the job done, man. Tough. This one's gonna hurt.
Chris, if we manage to pull this game out, I was gonna start, after you did your intro, I was gonna start off with, listen, all the RJ haters, you got to get your apology forms out. You got to make sure
Yeah.
you sign them clearly. He was special tonight. I thought the dunk that he had on Vucevic, which precluded like the weirdest challenge I've ever seen in an NBA basketball game, that was successful but unsuccessful at the same time. I thought that was a signature moment for him. I think back to last season when he hits the game winner in the Garden against Boston. The dunk that he had on Vucevic, I'm watching the game on TV and I can hear the roar of the Garden crowd, and everyone is super pumped up, amped up. The thing that I loved about RJ tonight was I loved the way he processed the game. When he got the ball on the wing, I didn't feel like they were wasted movements. I thought he knew exactly where he wanted to attack. He knew that if he got his defender off balance, where to go, what side, left or right. He's thinking in his head, okay, where's Mitch? Is Mitch open for a lob? Okay, if Mitch is not open for a lob and I have a couple of defenders in front of me, is Quentin open for three on the wing? What side am I going to try to attack the hoop on and drive and finish at the rim? I thought he was just really superb in every asset of his offensive game. He absorbed contact really well. There was just a different feeling about him, and it's just really unfortunate that we couldn't pull out the win, because I thought this was going to go a long way towards maybe understanding what RJ Barrett we're going to get for this season, but also maybe us buying more into the future of RJ Barrett. He's been such a polarizing player for this fan base. Everyone on Twitter, depending on the game, win or loss, listen, he's a good third player on a really good team, not worth the third pick. Some days it's like RJ is him, you know what I mean? Like, so it's rough. It doesn't take away from what he did, but you could certainly feel that if we were able to pull this out, the narrative would change a little bit for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And in the last two games, he's been him, right? He has been him. He's been really good. And then today, absolutely, tremendous performance, 44 points and 6 and 6 for three. And like you said, just look confident. Just looked like he had everyone talks about his bag, right? Oh, RJ don't got a bag. Today he looked like he had the bag going. Jeff, he looked like he had it going.
It may be a little slower than your average, than your average all-star wing player. It may take a little longer to get to his spot. Okay, the handle isn't going to be as flashy, but there are very few people that can completely stop RJ Barrett from getting where he wants to go when he
Oh,
has a
he could
full
get
head
there.
of
Yep,
steam.
he gets to the basket at will.
So he used his body really well in those situations, and he gave it up when he needed to, and he shot it when he needed to as well. So I can't look at RJ Barrett tonight too much in terms of okay, defensively, especially maybe in the first half. I think DeMar DeRozan had his way with him a little bit.
Yeah.
DeMar DeRozan is a really, really polished veteran player who excels in the mid-range. There's not a lot of players that are going to shut him down. Even at, I think, they were saying he's 33 years old and playing some of the best basketball of his life. But yeah, man, listen, it was a very, very tough loss. The only thing I will say to Knicks fans out there, we'll probably get into it more as the show goes along. I really don't feel like the sky is falling after this loss. I know there's maybe some people out there that are like, of course it's not falling. We've only lost 2 in a row and we still are a couple games over 500, but this felt like a really difficult loss. Just keep in mind that it's really hard to beat a team 3 times in a row in 10
Yeah.
days. The Bulls team, they just beat the Heat and they just beat Atlanta on a last second shot.
Buzzer, yeah.
So they've been riding high a little bit, and they're kind of maybe getting their swagger back a little bit. So these aren't bums by any stretch of the imagination. Zach LaVine showed you why, whether he gets traded from this team or they continue to build around him, he showed you why he's one of the top scorers in the league.
Jeff, what do you think is what do you think was the difference between, the Knicks, first 2 W's against Chicago and then, obviously this loss, tonight?
I would say just late game execution, man. Like honestly, all right, I'll go through like in the first quarter, we were down by 7. I think it was 27-20. I remember thinking to myself, you know what? The Bulls are taking a lot of difficult shots and they're
Yeah.
making them. Zach
Mhm.
LaVine hit like 2 threes from like
Yeah,
right by
from
the
deep.
logo.
Yeah, from deep.
Deep, right? So in my head, I'm like, all right, I think we're playing okay defense. You could see that the way that the Knicks were guarding LaVine specifically, Quentin Grimes went over every screen. They were trying to get LaVine off the 3-point line.
Mhm.
Then slowly but surely, I thought the bench unit that came in, I think it was Deuce, IQ, RJ, Sims, and Hartenstein. I thought they played really well when they were together. I think they actually got the lead at some point in the second quarter.
Yeah, they started the second
Yeah.
quarter. Yeah.
And then
They
and
played
then
solid.
the third quarter we traded baskets. Our starters
Yeah.
were in, and then towards the end we actually grabbed the lead a little bit. So there's the only thing, and I know we were talking about it a little bit before we got on. I just felt like the Bulls in key moments, like there were 2 Kobe White threes, like Kobe White of all players, right?
Yeah,
Like there were
he
2
had
Kobe
back-to-back
White
threes. He
threes.
had those
Yeah,
back-to-back threes. Yeah.
he those were big shots for them, and
Mhm.
then there was a couple of open Levine hits that he drilled. So there was clearly some lack of execution and rotations that we missed. But this is not a game that I look back on and I say defensively we were slow or we just didn't have it. I think we ran into a team that is starting to find their hitch a little bit. And I think just towards the end, we just weren't good enough. I'm not going to kill Jalen Brunson, but listen, man, when you step to the line with a chance to put yourself in a good situation and you
Yeah,
miss
man.
2 huge free throws, yeah, that's a big thing. So it was just unfortunate, but I still think, in the grand scheme of things, we're playing good basketball. We have
Mhm.
some things to build on. It's just a tough loss.
Yeah, tough loss, and it just felt like Jalen was just off today. Even Clyde had mentioned like he looked a little sluggish. It just didn't look like he had his legs today. And I just wonder, we talked about this before. Like it kind of reminded, the free throw situation in DeRozan. It kind of reminded me of when LeBron did the whole thing with Gilbert Arenas back in the day. Like what 15 years ago in the playoffs and all that. And I just wonder what DeRozan said to him to because Brunson's an 89% free throw shooter.
Yeah.
Like this, he's one of the best free throw shooters in the league, and to him to miss both, like he usually doesn't get rattled like, and you saw him like going back and forth with Kobe White, throughout the game and all. So it's just I just wonder like, what did he say to them that get him rattled like that?
I definitely don't know what it is, but it was clear. If you looked at Brunson's facial expression, especially before the second miss, there was just a look on him like, I don't know if I have it. And,
Yeah,
everyone that's played ball or professional sports, knows that look. And to speak on the opposite end of the spectrum, we've seen Brunson step to the line with a coldness in his face, with a killer instinct,
yeah.
and we would say the opposite. We would say, oh, Brunson's going to sink these two, no problem. But, I think teams are recognizing that Jalen Brunson is the guy. Jalen Brunson is the guy that in the fourth quarter is going to take the majority of the shots. It probably didn't happen tonight because RJ had it going so well. But teams recognize that if they can get Jalen Brunson off his game, whether that be mentally or, try and physically punish him a little bit when he drives to the rim, then they're going to have a better chance of beating us. And, Brunson, like any player that gets his money and is kind of transcending into that next step of tiers of stars, has to recognize that guys are going to come at you, and they're going to try and say and do anything. At the end of the day, like, this dude is built for it. I'm not really
Hmm.
worried about it, but he
Yeah,
saw tonight what he's going to expect for the rest of the season, which is going to be people are going to try and get in your head.
yeah. And the defense, especially from AO he was on him. He was
Yeah.
on him, and that's why I liked AO a lot coming out of college, coming out of Illinois because of that. And I'm still shocked he was a second round pick, but what he can bring defensively, and and you see a lot of people in the chat talk about like guys with length seem to really bother Brunson, and it seemed like that was a part of him looking a little sluggish and all that. AO was able to do his thing tonight, on Brunson for the most part, and that's maybe something that you know the Knicks gonna have to try to figure out. With bigger guards like that, especially when they blitzing Brunson and all that. So just what are your thoughts about like the defense played on Brunson, especially the last few games?
Yeah, I could definitely see the length was giving him an issue. It's interesting because, like, there's been matchups where I've seen bigger guards on him. I don't know that I can specifically sit here and say like it's a trend in the sense that all bigger guards give him an issue, because when he's on, I have a feeling like he's able to get to that step back and still create enough space to get off his jumper, his fadeaway mid range, whatever it is. But it's funny, like I remember doing a post game with JD, maybe a week or two back at this point, and he was saying to me that, does it look like Jalen is a step slow? Remember when he got injured a little bit and then it was like, oh, is he going to
Mhm.
play? Is he not going
Yeah,
to
yeah,
play?
yeah,
I do think as tough as this guy is, he's not immortal. Like I think like he is probably playing through some pain, as most players do.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I do think he's probably nursing something that he's not really um being, whether it's like 100% truthful or
Hmm. Yeah,
whether it hasn't made it out to the media to the extent, but he looks a little bit like a step slow in some sense, whether it's that he can't explode off the way he usually does or is used to. But that's what I would say. That's not discrediting Ao, because I thought he was really good and he gave Brunson some fits defensively for sure. But there's just a level of quickness that I'm not seeing there that I'm used to seeing with Jalen. That maybe, who knows if they get a little bit of a break, 3 days here or something like that, then maybe he gets some time and he'll be back to kind of his old self.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Also, Quentin Grimes, how we feel about how he looked with his first game back.
Yeah, listen, I thought Grimes played really well. Like I thought for the most part he did an okay job on Levine. I think Zach Levine is a really good player. I think sometimes like when we find a player on our team that has a good defensive reputation, we expect them to, hold the opposing best scorer, to like 15, 17 points, whatever it is. But I still think a player like Grimes can play well on Zach, and I forget how much Zach had, but I think he had at least like 25 or 27.
Yeah,
But I
27.
thought he played pretty good defense on Zach LaVine. I'm telling you, this is such a nitpick, but the only criticism I really have for Grimes is there are times where he is able to fake the shot and drive to the hoop, and
Mhm.
he finds somebody for a pass. But I don't know what he does, dude. He like bullets this pass to either Mitch or someone. And Mitch's hands, man. Sometimes he gets a little spastic down
Yeah,
below the rim
yeah.
and he loses it. Like he just I'm telling you, Quentin, if you're listening, like you have to just take a little bit of heat off some of those passes. But
Yep.
Quentin Grimes is a huge part to the puzzle. He's a really important player for our team. And I think he's hitting his threes at a more consistent clip, which is really great to see. So I'm not worried about Grimes at all.
Yeah, not his best shooting game, but definitely, there's some of those passes, like there's those bullet passes, and Mitch got the Butterfinger hands, so it seems like he got a, triple take, a lot of these passes he gets, but yeah, like I said, it was just it's definitely a tough loss. It was definitely a tough loss, and not being able to hit off free throws. I mean, it comes down to just that because it was literally back and forth. We talked about that. Just it was a back and forth. I mean, at the half, we're talking about a 2-point game, and like I said, just constant back and forth. It was really just a really well played game. It wasn't sloppy. Both teams shot the ball well. It just, it felt like maybe a couple whistles that maybe could have went our way. But for the most part, it was just a really well played game from start to finish.
Yeah, I feel the same way, and I feel like, if you're a Knicks fan that wants to look at this half glass full, I'm gonna try to. There's certainly, as the schedule gets more difficult, we'll talk about that. I don't think the next 5 games are like super difficult, but as we get into the teeth of the NBA season, you'll look back on games like this, and of course you'll say that's one that you should have. But overall. Again, I think if you look at the season in 5, 10 game intervals and you try and grasp, themes and patterns from that, this is a team that's playing really good quality basketball on both ends. Like, even the Raptors lost. If you're honest with yourself as a fan, even if you're one of those Knicks fans that just like loves to hate on everything and is like, the sky is falling, Leon sucks, Tibbs is the worst coach ever, you have to admit to yourself that the Knicks are playing exciting basketball. The games are good. They're competitive. And if you look at the Raptors loss, look, the Raptors, I think I forget if they won tonight, but they were winning at half against whoever they were playing, and I think Siakam like hit like a half court shot at the end of the half or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
They might have played the Hawks. I forget, but clearly the Raptors.
Cleveland. They played Cleveland. They won by 11.
Look, there you go. They beat the Cavs. They just beat us the other night. I think they had lost 6 in a row before that, or they were on a little bit
Yeah.
of a down streak. But the Raptors are a team with championship pedigree, and they have a coach that brought them there. So, they're not going to go quietly. The Bulls were a team that won 44 games last year, and you see the loss of Lonzo Ball and what that has done to them. But, they're a team with good players as well. So I'm looking at these 2 games and I'm saying they were close. I think we should have won. When you look back at the season, we have hoped we would have won, but we're still playing good basketball. Julius Randle will still get you upset every now and then, but overall, he's making better decisions with the ball in his hand. He's not taking, let's say 10 bad shots a game. He's not
Mhm.
over dribbling in the paint and creating a lot of turnovers. Our mid three, as people like to call them, sarcastically, there's a pretty equal shot distribution for them. They all shoot around 15 to 16 shots per game. And the efficiency for Julius and RJ has been creeping up. Those are 2 players that historically have not been very efficient. And Jalen Brunson was great all year. and he, had a little bit of a rough game tonight. But I'm looking at this glass half full. I still think we're playing good basketball, and there's no reason to believe that we're gonna stop that.
No, for sure. We're still overall still playing, like you said, really playing really good basketball. And I know some fans want to have the, when we get an L, the world is ending and all that. But I think if you look at this game, you can take away a lot of good things. Like I said, a lot of good things. And appreciate Chuck D for the super chat. Appreciate the support and all that. And make sure everyone go to the Discord. We're gonna take calls very soon, so make sure head on over to the Discord and we'll chop it up in a little bit. But Jeff, let's go to our Nick of the Night presented by Chase Freedom, and I think it's kind of obvious who the Nick of the Night is. Even though and it's a loss, RJ Barrett was absolutely just special. He was special today. 44 points, 7 rebounds, 14 to 20 from the field, and hit all his threes. His passing, and that's been a lot. A lot of people have been bringing up his passing because I saw. I think it was on the Ringer guy. I forgot the guy's name, but he made a nice video talking about RJ's passing, and you just can't look at just the statistics. Just can't look at he's averaging 3, but some of his passes. Like, he's a really good passer. Like, we saw it at Duke, and that's why I think a lot of people are so high on him, is because not just his scoring but his passing. So that's an underrated part of his game. But RJ Barrett had an absolutely phenomenal that dunk he had on Vooch on his head. I thought they were going to take that away, and then they changed it to it was the DeRozan foul and all of that. But RJ Barrett was on a different level today. I mean, maybe his best game as an NBA player so far. He just like we mentioned before, at all 3 phases, all 3 levels, he just looked like that dude. He looked like the guy that were like, oh, that's why we took him with the 3rd pick. That's what we've been waiting for. I think most fans have been waiting for this RJ Barrett. And, hopefully it's a sign of things to come. But, RJ Barrett, definitely the Nick of the Night.
100%. He was Star J tonight. He is risen tonight. Like, this guy was on another level. I think back to, I know Fred Katz for The Athletic wrote a really good article about RJ earlier this week about how some of the contract negotiations he wasn't able to play as much basketball during the summer prior to the beginning of this season as he normally would have. And that's kind of maybe, you don't want to use the word excuse, but maybe a factor as to why he started out slow. The slow starts for RJ have been something that, we've seen, we've become accustomed to as fans. But there's no quit in this kid, and I have to say this, I got to give RJ some props. I know I already have, but I've been hard on him in some instances, and I've given some criticism. I know I got on a post game a couple of weeks ago, and I said, listen, I don't care about 20-point games for RJ anymore, because there was a time where RJ was doing more than scoring. He was making winning plays. His defense was really good. People were talking about him being an emerging two-way player. Then, in his 2nd year, everyone was saying, wow, what a great rebounder for a guard. Obviously he has great size, but what a great rebounder for a guard. Now it's like, Emmanuel quickly almost impresses us more with his rebounds than RJ. But when RJ has a game like this, and when you see him put now together, what, Chris, I think it's like the last 8 or 9 games that RJ has been shooting really efficiently, scoring over 20 a game. Like, very, very impressive. You got to tip your cap to him, and you just hope that this continues. I guess the thing that impresses me the most about RJ, besides what I spoke about earlier in terms of his processing the game, is the free throw shooting.
Yeah.
Good free throw shooting is almost a really, really positive indicator for 3-point shooting, efficient scoring, and he's got to be close to 80% at this point. I know he was at 78% like a week and a half ago. I forget if he went like 9 for 11 tonight or something like that, pretty close to that stat line.
10 of 13.
10, you said 10 of 15?
10 of 13 from
Oh, 10
free
of
throw
13.
line.
Okay, so still a really, really good percentage. And those full regular season numbers are creeping up. That's what's impressing me a lot about RJ. I think he's making clearly good decisions when he has the ball in his hand, and the free throw percentage is great for him. So just a fantastic night for him. You want to see it going, but clearly he is our Nick of the night for sure.
Yeah, and if you just look at his free throw numbers, other than I think the last Chicago game, I think he missed like 4 or 5. He's been relatively solid from the line, missing maybe, 2 or 3 like free throws a game. So I think, RJ's been a real, hot topic for a lot of Knicks fans, right? We know, we see it all the time in the Twitter world, in the spaces and all this, and he's probably, the top guy that people talk about, whether, do you build around him, do you trade him, doing this, and then it's consistency with RJ, but it seems like always seems like around this time of the year is when we finally see RJ kind of figure things out. And I know people get frustrated with the slow start, and we all do, right? And I get it, but you know, there's still you still have to have faith. He's still a young player trying to figure things out. It's not, he's trying to figure out, Brunson coming in, still have Julius Randle and all that. But games like this is why, for me especially, like, this is the RJ like that you feel like you can maybe build around, because we need this RJ to be able to take that next step as a franchise. We need RJ to be that dude. We know we're going to get from Julius. We know we're going to get from Brunson. RJ is the ultimate swing. Like if RJ hits, like that's going to take us to another level.
Yeah.
And right, and I think a lot of people feel that way. And we sometimes we see inconsistencies with him, but it seems like he's I almost since the start of December he's finally figuring that out, and that's a good thing. And let's hope he continues that. But tonight was. It just sucks that getting that help, because it takes away from that, especially because he had everything, like we talked about, everything we want to see RJ. He had the moment, he had the dunk and everything. 6 for 6 from 3. If we just had finished it off, this is an iconic night in New York Knicks history.
Yeah, it felt like that, man. I mean, like, he just had it rolling. I think I've been impressed with just like the way that our three main guys, Julius, Brunson, and RJ, have functioned together during this win streak. And obviously, it's not a win streak anymore. We lost 2 in a row, but during kind of like the resurgence of this season, because you don't see any one of them really hogging the ball a lot. You see them playing off each other. You see them trusting their teammates, getting each other involved. And defensively, I think they've played really well as well. One thing I wanted to point out earlier, but forgot to, during our win streak defensively, the wide open 3-point shooting for our opponents, which I know is a stat that a lot of people focused on during our playoff year a couple of years ago. A lot of people tried to say our defense wasn't as good as it was because teams were missing wide open 3-point shots.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at the stats, and for the year, I think we were around. Let me just double check it again. I think it was around. Let me see. So teams were shooting 32% on wide open threes, which was good for 25th in the league. What you see now during the winning streak and the game since is that there's a little bit of regression now. So teams are actually hitting more of their threes. The percentage is not huge. I think it's like 33.1%. So it's moved up. But, we're gonna have to contend with that. Like clearly tonight, some of those open threes went down and the Bulls hit them. I think that's a big reason why they ended up winning this game. But it's just gonna call us to kind of get back to the drawing board a little bit. I don't see these 2 losses, again, as I said before, as any huge indicator that our season is going one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something that Tibbs clearly has to get through to our guys in terms of their rotations, making sure that we're solid on our coverages. Because you could clearly see in the fourth quarter, there was like 4 or 5 plays where, if we are a little bit more solid, I think we're talking about a different result tonight.
Yep, definitely for sure. All right, Jeff, let's get to the lines. Let's get to the lines right now. Let's see what the people got to say, about today's game. So let's see who we got waiting, and we got Cody Glock. Cody Glock on the line. Cody?
Cody going once.
Hey, what's up, man? You can hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. What's going on, man?
Chilling, man. What's up, Chris? What's up, GC, man? Rapid fire. I'm playing 2K over here. Yo, I can't lie, man. I'm not mad at the Knicks, man. Like, as a person who played basketball, you miss free throws when you're tired, bro. We just came off an 8-game. We're tired out there. I'm not gonna chew people head off, bro.
Mhm.
And not a lot of normal people can make free throws from a regulation free throw line. So I don't know why people's complaining about that. Another thing
We
is,
saw that with the video after. There's a lot of
yeah,
people who
of
need
course.
need
Yeah,
help on their free throw technique.
that's exactly why I said it. And I'm not even gonna lie, bro. I'm disappointed in Mitchie. Mitchie, let me tell you something about Mitchie, all right?
Mhm.
Mitchie, he's a guy, bro. They're not looking for him. I know he ain't hit his mark today, but the Knicks don't look for their big men, man. The Knicks is the only team I see in the NBA that don't look for their big man. Their big men never score. I know I gotta be rapid fire. Manscaped, shout out Manscaped. I average 0 turnovers because of Manscaped. And lawnmower action. I'm gonna see you guys, man. Happy holidays, man. Shout out to KnicksFanTV, man. I'm just
Appreciate
disappointed.
Happy holidays, Cody.
Happy
Of course.
holidays, man. Appreciate the call. Appreciate the
Of course.
call.
I'll say this, Chris. I want to know how you feel about that. I do think he makes a good point. Like I know,
Mhm.
I do think Mitch is never going to be like a focal point in this offense because of
Yeah.
his limited offensive skill.
Mhm.
But there are some times where I actually feel, regardless of the point guard that's on the court, whether it's IQ or Brunson, if I'm Mitch and I dive to the hoop, let's say 20, 25 times a game, and you only throw me 3 or 5 lobs, and then the rest of our attempts are either offensive rebounds or whatever I can fish out for myself. That is kind of tough, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like if I'm Mitchell Robinson, I'm kind of like listen. I know I'm not open all the time, but
Yeah.
I do think that he does make a point. And there was one time it actually wasn't Mitch. It was Hartenstein. Yo, IQ had the ball, and I'm telling you, Hartenstein was wide open under
Mhm.
the basket, and IQ just didn't see him. And I do think maybe sometimes that can be a little bit of an issue. Sure, I'm sure sometimes maybe the bigs don't move enough without the ball, but whether it's Sims, like that's the other thing. We're playing Sims a good amount. Why?
Yeah.
I don't understand what happened. Like, is it that the league caught up so much that Sims can't get any chances at lobs anymore? Like when Sims was playing, even when we weren't playing well, it felt like he got at least 3 or 4 a night. But I don't know if it's that we're not finding him. Teams are just sticking him on the roll and they're not giving him, room to maneuver. But I do kind of see what Cody's saying. Like, I do feel like we got to find our bigs a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. And do you think there's just a lack of trust with the bigs?
I wonder, man. Like, I don't, I, like, I think you should trust Mitch. You shouldn't trust Mitch on a post up, but
No,
I,
definitely
you know
not.
what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't trust him on a post up, but I think he's developed enough kind of money in the bank with his play where it's like, yo, the Knicks are third in the league in rebounding and I think second in offensive rebounding. And like a lot of that is Mitchell Robinson, man. Like we have guys we do kind of like team rebound the ball really well, but Mitch does so much work that I do kind of feel like you got to reward him. Even if you don't get the bucket, you kind of got to throw him something down there just so he's like, at least it's not like I'm just running down this end of the court just for what? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's I don't know, I feel like with Hardenstein too, I feel like, he's lost that flavor. It felt like early in the season and there was people saying he should be starting
Right.
over Mitch and
Right.
all that.
I
And it
remember
seems
that.
like it just seems like, especially on the defensive end, he's just not there. And if you're not getting any production from on offense, he's kind of, a turnstile and all that.
Yeah.
And Jericho still is a work in progress. He's obviously an athletic freak and all that, but he still needs to be molded. There's still a lot, he's still super raw. It's still super raw and all that. And we still got to figure out, with him. Yeah, so yeah, the bigs, we got to figure it out because it's not a good day for the bigs. It's not a good day for the bigs. But let's take one more call, Jeff. Let's take another call before we move on. Let's see who we got. Like I said, people go into Discord and let's chop it up. All right, let's see who we got. We got whole lot of Joey.
Oh, man, how you
What's
doing?
going on, man?
Coming from Australia, Melbourne. What's up to my Australian fans out there?
Wow.
That's awesome. Hey, that's love. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, all love. I just want to get right into it. I just feel like Thibs is just running all our players. Is it a 9 or 8 man roster at the moment that we're just rotating? And all these guys are getting burnt out. We went on an 8-win streak. That was good. Props to them and stuff. It was a good run, but these last 2 games, terrible defense. Especially Brunson getting paid the amount he is, as well as Julius Randle. Lazy on the defensive side, same as Jalen. But when it's the offensive side, it looks like they want to, you know what I mean? Want the ball. And their energy comes out of nowhere. So, yeah, just a little bit disappointed from the turnout from today. As well as RJ getting 40 plus. That's history for him as well. Best game so far, but props to him. And yeah, that's just all I wanted to say.
Appreciate you.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, appreciate you, Paul from Australia and all that. But yeah, man, it's the big situation is something that's just intriguing to me because we talk about today's bigs and everything we want into those type of stretch big like those Miles Turner, and then how many times have we heard Miles Turner and trade talks and all that, and I'm not saying we should do that, but it just seems like with Mitch and Jericho and all that, it's just like is it, I don't know, do we gotta change something up there? Like it just because they're not, it's not like they're doing anything offensively that is going to, they're not getting post ups, and it's not like Mitch is added. Remember we used to see the videos of Mitch dribble and all that pulling up for three. It's like we're not even seeing even a little bit. Like everything is in the restricted area with Mitch. He doesn't even have a little, anything to his bag.
What's interesting to me is like, and I thought when Derrick Rose became like situational and Deuce started getting minutes, and you started to see Tibbs play Hartenstein and Sims together on the floor at the same time. I'm not gonna lie, and I've been one of the biggest Tibbs defenders probably on Twitter, and I thought it was ridiculous. I thought it wasn't gonna work. It did work, but I think what Tibbs, looking back now, what he decided to do, first off, what I didn't realize at the time, Sims is actually much better. I'm not saying he's like a perimeter defender. He's not. But he's much better at staying. If he has to get switched on to somebody on the perimeter,
he could stay on that person. Yeah.
He is. He's decent at it. He's not going to get blown by. He can move laterally fairly quickly, and he's very athletic. If he has to recover, he can do it. But what I think Tibbs was doing was Tibbs was trying to make a strength a strength. He was trying to make sure that with those 2 bigs in there, that, okay, that second bench unit, you know what, we might get hit on points, but we're going to rebound the hell out of the ball. We're going to get every board, and we're going to get second chance points, and then if you foul us, we're going to go to the line, and we're going to kind of grind it out that way. So Tibbs, I don't think it's a long-term strategy that's going to be great. But to the caller's earlier point, like, I actually do, I can see the minutes. Like, it's funny. You saw RJ go to the bench and he like rested his head on Obi's shoulder, like being like, damn, dude, I'm tired. But like RJ's been like the de facto 4, since Rose, since Obi got hurt. And you can tell, like, 8-9 man rotation, like, it's going to be tough. I do think the Knicks will make a trade of some kind to kind of consolidate what's
Yeah.
going on. And maybe once that happens, we'll see whether it's a better 9-man rotation where the minutes are distributed better, or a 10-man rotation. You know, it's tough. I mean, like, Rose got minutes the other night when Grimes was hurt. You don't see that happening too much in the future, probably. But yeah, I don't know. It'll definitely be interesting to see how they address it going forward.
Yeah, definitely gonna be interesting once we get closer to the deadline, I think, and we'll probably talk about it more later on the show. But let's take one more call before we get to our key stats of the night. Let's take one more caller, and we got Drew. Drew, brother,
Yeah, we hear you, man.
or do we? Oh, no.
In a sense. And I think it's the turnovers that we've had especially these last two games. We had 16 against the Raptors, and we had 10 tonight, which if you combine both of the games, that the amount of turnovers have happened in both those, that's 18 combined possessions more for the other team. Now, in basketball, it may not seem like that much, but trust me, it's a lot when you're actually playing the sport. It's a max of 54 more points the other team could score in both those games. And on top of that, like you said, if we knock down our free throws more, we win both of those games. It's easy. And this is like not really much of a cause of concern for me. To be honest, this is easily correctable. And all Tibbs needs to do is just get them in the gym for a light practice or a shoot around, just get them to knock down some free throws and work on the turnovers and stuff like that. So, yeah, that was pretty much it. That's all I got.
Yeah, appreciate.
Awesome.
Yeah, and Bulls were able to get 14 points off turnovers today. Which, and we only had 6, I believe, right? I think we had 6. Right. I think so. Let me see. We had 6 off turnovers and all that. But Chicago didn't really turn the ball over. They played a crisp game. We didn't really pressure them enough and all that. So, those are the turnovers on it. But it's also, when the turnovers occur too. Some crucial points, and I think that's something that's needs to factor. Yeah, the turnovers are always bad, but it's turnovers at certain points of the games that are really can really hurt you.
Yeah, I think also to Drew's point, like, I think the Raptors had because I think he mentioned that there was 18 turnovers the other night. They had like 26 or at least 25 plus points off those turnovers. So that was clearly a big swing. And it's interesting because the Knicks this season have been really good with holding on to the ball and not turning the ball over. So it's funny that I do think you see that combined with poor free throw shooting, as he said, two things that are easily correctable. If we can just kind of get back to the offense we were playing where our rotations and executions are more crisp, we're better at the line, those are both 2 games you feel like you can probably have.
Yeah, for sure. So, like you said, the last 2 games, not getting not getting a lot of turnovers, but it's also when the turnovers is. And so, definitely the Knicks need to work on their turnovers because they had some bad turnovers and all that. But let's go to the key stats of the night. And this like we mentioned before, this was a really well played game. It's both teams just back and forth and all that, and is relatively chalk almost throughout the board. Both teams, like I said, both teams shot what the Bulls shot close to 50%. We shot over 50%. Both teams shot, I think, over 45% from 3. But like we mentioned before, it comes down to free throws. We didn't get the free throws, but like I said, Zach was in his bag and early too. Zach got off to an early start. I think he had like 12, 13 points early in the game. Vooch is. It felt like every time he shot the ball, it was going in.
Yeah.
Every time that man would shoot, it was going in.
I felt like if they ever just ran a pick and roll at the top of the key and had him pop out for a mid-range, I thought it was automatic every time. Like
Mm-hmm.
he has that type of game where, those shots, it's clearly his bread and butter, is something that he's practiced like thousands of times in his career. And
Mm-hmm.
if there's not a defender within 5 feet of him, you might as well just jog back on the other side of the court. Like
Exactly. Yep.
he's gonna hit it, So one thing I do want to say about Vooch, though, and whatever. This isn't his game, right? He's not really a physical big, but
No.
the dude is like super, super soft, defensively especially. And I'm not, my thing is
He's
this.
a cupcake on defense, Jeff.
Like
He's a cupcake on defense.
I saw Emmanuel quickly drive on him, and I know coaches teach you keep your hands up when the guard is driving towards you, fall back, whatever it is. This dude did not even try to engage him with his body. And Emmanuel quickly, who is probably giving, I don't know, Chris, what do you think? 6, 7, 8 inches in height. He hit like a high floater off the backboard, the side backboard, and made it. Don't get me wrong, it was a nice shot by Quickly, but you just got the feeling if Vooch tried to engage with any part of his frame, this big massive dude, that he probably could have altered the shot. But offensively, he's really tough to handle, and he hit some big shots for them tonight.
Yeah, definitely hit some big shots, and it felt like we could have done more defensively to stop him. For sure. Especially with 3 7-footers out there and all that. But it felt like he was just making shot, and Zach. It feels like we're kind of seeing the Zach LaVine of old that we saw last year. That people were like, okay, maybe he's on up. Because obviously he's had, he's coming back from having knee surgery, over the summer, and he hasn't been right. And obviously the Bulls have been going through a little bit some turmoil. There's some things we've been hearing, with DeMar and Zach and all that, people calling each other out and all that. But Zach looks springy today. He definitely looked a little bit like not fully, and even Clyde had mentioned like he looks like he's getting there. Not fully there, but he looks like he is getting there. But and then DeMar, the king of the mid range, man. It's something that is kind of we don't see that much. The mid range. They say the mid range game is gone, but DeMar DeRozan shows you that what you can do in the mid range is still something that is very valuable in this league.
Chris, I think that was his tryout for the Lakers tonight. I think this man is trying to get to LA so badly. He was like, LeBron, look. He's like, look what I can do. Like, I thought, but listen, he gave it to us, man. Like, it wouldn't be the first time he's put on a good show in the Garden. But he was very tough. There was a couple of RJ had him for most of the night in terms of matchup. But it was difficult. He certainly hit a clutch shot, and honestly, Grimes did foul him, and I thought played really good defense on him up until that point. And he still hit it. What are you gonna do? I don't think the game was won or lost on that possession. There was some things that happened before that. We shouldn't have been in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just I feel like DeRozan has just been underappreciated for a while because he was in Toronto for so long, and then kind of when he got traded for Kawhi in San Antonio, kind of just got we forgot about him because San Antonio was kind of going through their they weren't San Antonio anymore, so we kind of forgot about him. And then, but if you watched him, you're like, hold up, like he's still that dude. And then we saw I mean, he was an MVP candidate before they had the injuries with Lonzo and Caruso. I mean, the Bulls were playing really good ball, and people were like, DeMar's in that MVP discussion, And I want to get your quick thoughts about this and a potential DeMar getting traded. And would you entertain the thought of DeMar coming to New York? I know we've heard Zach LaVine, we've heard a bunch of guys' names, but what about him?
It's funny because I mean the short answer is no, but I remember before he signed with the Bulls, um, there was a lot of talk about maybe the Knicks going after him. I don't think the
Yeah.
front office really had strong talks, but fans were
Yeah.
talking a lot, right? And then we kind of all collectively on Knicks Twitter really just, spoke poorly, that's putting it lightly, of the Bulls off season before they won 44 wins. And then, DeMar DeRozan ended up being really good, all NBA second team, I think. Playing still really good for the most part. Maybe the efficiency has gone down a little bit, but at this point in his career and for what we're trying to do right now, I like DeMar DeRozan. I don't like him for our team. I think for where we are and where we want to go, DeMar doesn't really move the needle for me too much. And that's not really shading him. That's just saying
Yeah.
it was kind of similar in some similar thoughts to the Donovan Mitchell trade. Of course, I think Donovan Mitchell is an amazing player, and he is clearly killing it on the Cavs. But just in terms of where Cleveland was in their development, where we were in our development, and what they gave up versus what we would give up, I could see why Cleveland made that move. Whereas I thought if we made that move, yes, we would have a really great player in our locker room. I still think that we were a couple of pieces away that Cleveland already had. They have a nice stretch big who is also good defensively, Evan Mobley. They have a really good guard to pair with Donovan Mitchell. They have some other nice surrounding pieces as well. So, I don't know if we made that trade, if we were going to be, where they are now, third seed, whatever it is. But, DeRozan, even less so. I don't know that he really impacts our team that much based on the roster we have.
Yeah. And because, obviously that's something that's been talked about, and people have and like you mentioned, there was some talks at DeRozan before he signed with Chicago. Maybe, does he come here in New York? But people are like, well, how does that hamper RJ's progression and all that? And even though I think he would have been a great fit, a great player to have around RJ, because that's someone that's kind of been compared, RJ's been compared to is DeMar DeRozan and all that. So that would have been a great person to learn from. But I don't know if he's a fit right now. Or I've heard Zach LaVine. I remember the last time I was on with Alex, after the Suns game, and someone had said, a caller had said to trade the farm, trade the farm for Zach, and I was just like, that meme with the guy, the guy with the eyes, he rolls back.
Yeah.
That was me. I was like, wait, out of all the guys that you would trade all the picks for, you said Zach LaVine. And, I was like, I mean, Zach's solid, but I mean, that's not something I would do,
No, but Chris, I agree with you though. Think about it this way, right? So the Donovan Mitchell trade saga was like a soap opera, right? It was insane. He was gonna be here, and then Cleveland gave them a better deal at the last minute or whatever. The Knicks, the communications broke down. Think about it this way: Leon Rose becomes president of the Knicks, has all of these ties to CAA. You get William Wesley, who's a part of our front office, and you just, even if you don't think it's happening, you think in the back of your mind, you're like, there's going to be so many backroom deals that we're going to orchestrate. These guys have so many contacts. We're going to get a star in here at some point. If you tell me that after the 3 years that they've been here, that Zach LaVine is the guy that we're going to, mortgage all this draft capital for, I'm going to be a little disappointed. You know what I mean? I don't know who that's going to be at this point. But if you tell me it's Zach LaVine's the guy who's going to come to New York now and wear the Superman cape, I'm going to be like, that sounds like a 4th or 5th seed to me, which, okay. But I don't really see that topping off unless you make some supplementary moves that really move the needle.
Yep, definitely, for sure. Jeff, did you hit did you do your prize picks today?
I'm not 100% sure. I don't think so.
Well, I did mine today. So for the people, PrizePicks is a daily fantasy sports daily sports app. Is made easy for everyone. I put my picks in today, and I didn't do well. So I didn't do well today. So Prize Picks, like I said, is a daily fantasy sports app. So all you gotta do is download or go to prizepicks.com and use promo code KFTV and get an instant deposit match up to $100. So how you play, you get it. You could pick up to 2 to 6 players, and it's kind of just an over under. And you could pick a bunch of sports. It's basketball, football, baseball, hockey, all that. Pick a bunch of sports and all that, and you combine, and you can do 2 to 6 players. And whether it's points, rebounds, assists, goals, whatever it is, you pick the over under, and you can win up to 25 times your money. So I didn't have success with mine. I picked my picks were Brunson over 22.5. Did not have success with that. I went Giannis over 12 rebounds. That did hit. That was my one hit. I had Killian Hayes over 6 assists. He finished with 5, Jeff. 5. He keeps disappointing me.
Terrible.
He keeps disappointing me, Killian Hayes. He has played better though. He has played better ball.
Yes.
He has played better ball of late. So it felt a little better about where I had him in the draft and all that. But he hit, and then I had Garland 30 over 30.5 points, rebounds, and assists. And I think he had 25, I believe. 25, I think. So 1 for 4. If you went with those picks, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I felt good about I feel really, because Killian Hayes had like 4 assists in like the first quarter, I think. So when I was watching, I was like, oh, that's the one that I was really worried about was Brunson. I was like, oh man, I don't think, the feeling, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna hit the Brunson one. But go on over to Prize Pick, use promo code KFTV and get an instant deposit match for up to $100. They're really great. So head on over there, and I'll be back at it again tomorrow and see if I can win something. I got to figure out a plan. But I know Giannis going against the Nets. I was like, they don't have anyone that can really match him. Like, he'll get that and all that. But like I said, go on over, download the app or go on the website and use the promo code, and it's really fun. It's user friendly and all that. So make sure to go on over there, Prize Picks, and use the promo code, and then they'll match it up. So if you put 50, get another 50 in there. You put 20, you get another 20 in there. So go on over there. Great app, PrizePicks.com, or download the app on Apple or Android. Let's see. We'll see if we got any callers. Let's see if we go back to the lines. Let's see if we can go back to the lines. See if we got anyone. Let's see. Let's check if we got anyone. I'm hysterical. I'm like, two people say we're the FBI. They say we look like cops. Someone say you look like Phil Jackson.
Phil Jackson.
You look like a young Phil Jackson.
A young PJ. Man. I was gonna at least hopefully have like. What happened? Did we just go off? Did we just?
No,
lose?
we good. We good.
No, we're good. We're good. The screen went black for a second. I don't know. I'm in my old age. I'm in my Phil Jackson age, but I would hope to have at least like 30 or 40 years before I start getting compared to PJ. But it's what it is, man. It's the gray hair, the salt and pepper.
I think it's the hair, and I think for me it's the hat. And now that I look at it, I'm like, we could be undercover cops.
We could be undercover right now.
We could be undercover cops. So maybe we are, maybe we're not. But I'm reading the chat, and you know how reading the chat there is funny, and then I'm glancing. It's hysterical and all that, but it has me rolling a little bit. But I appreciate people for tuning in and all that. Like I said, we're not CP and Alex and the usuals, but I appreciate CP for letting us hold down the fort. For Friday. And appreciate everyone who's tuned in and watching us too. But let's just go through. Let's give some ratings out. Let's give some ratings out. And like I said, people, make sure to go on to Discord and because we definitely want to take some more callers and all that. But let's go to some player ratings. Let's go through the lineup and all that. And let's start with Brunson. What grade are we gonna give him off?
All right. Jalen, like he's he fought through it. I can't kill him. He did have a bad game. He missed 2 extremely clutch free throws there were some shots that he hit that were actually kind of swung the momentum or stopped the momentum from the Bulls end. You know, I think mentally maybe he got a little overtaken in the game. He let DeMar get in his head a little bit. I'm gonna go. You know, I'm gonna go a 5 for Brunson. You know, I'm not gonna go too hard on him, but you know, for a guy that has been Mr. Fourth Quarter for us, he came up short. So you know, I think I can't give him too high of a score.
Yeah, 5. I mean, I might even give him lower. I might give him 4, 4 or
Yeah.
3. It just if he had just played just a little bit better, maybe we get the W. You know, and just the free. I mean, 89% free throw shooter and missed some really crucial free throws and let the DeMar get in his head like that. But just overall, just did not have a good game. Did not have a good game at all. So yeah, I give him a 4. But let's give him a 4. All right, let's go. Quentin Grimes.
All right, Quentin, I'm gonna give him solid 7. Solid 7. Good game. I thought he shot well. I thought he defended decently. Like, you know, he's very consistent. That's what you love about QG. So I'm gonna give him a 7.
Give him a 7. Yeah, I'll give him a 6. I give him a 6. You know, like I said, didn't shoot the ball well, but still had to make some solid, you know, some big time shots and all that, and the defense was pretty solid. So I'll give him a 6. I'll give him a 6. All right, let's go with Julius Randle.
Julius, efficient game, efficient floor game, 29 points, 12 boards. Little bit of hiccups here and there, but I'm giving him an 8. I think he deserved an 8.
Give him an 8. Give him an 8. Yeah, you know, I'll give him a 7. I'm gonna give him a 7. Give him a 7. He was solid today. Let's go with Mitch. How are you feeling about Mitch?
Mitch, listen, I'm not gonna kill Mitch. Like people are gonna see like 2.6 boards, but those boards were big. You know, I thought he worked really hard down low. When he doesn't do well offensively, I don't necessarily hold it against him. Sometimes I feel like we're not finding him. All of his baskets come off lobs or offensive boards. So, you know, it's not he doesn't create for himself. So I'm gonna give him a 5, just like Brunson.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with 5 too. I'm gonna go with 5 too. I felt like he could have done more, but you know, just not a great. The bigs overall maybe get a 4. You know, I just didn't think they were great today. Let's go with RJ Barrett.
RJ Barrett.
RJ.
I don't know. I forget. Someone said that CP has a rule. You can't get above a certain number in a loss. But listen, I'm giving RJ a 9. I can't go double digits, but 44, 7, and 4. He was dominant for us during points of the game, 14 to 20. Really confident. We talked a lot about RJ, so I'm not going to repeat a lot of those points, but I'm giving him a 9.
A 9 for RJ Barrett. I'm gonna give him a 9.5. I don't know if that's allowed. I don't know if that's allowed. I don't know if they do point system. You know,
We're making it up as we go.
But I'm going 9.5. I'm gonna go 9.5. If he went 13 to 13 for the free throw line, I'm giving him a 10. I don't care. I would have given him a perfect 10. I would have given him a perfect 10, but I'm gonna give him 9.5 because he was near flawless tonight. And he's not the reason why we lost the game.
No.
So so yeah, I'm gonna give RJ a 9.5. You know, because he was special, man. And I just it hurts that we have this loss because his night got spoiled because of that. So gonna give him a 9.5 for RJ Barrett. Let's go with Emmanuel quickly.
I thought IQ played really well. I think there's actually an argument you can make that maybe he should have played a little bit more in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think so. He definitely should have.
I think IQ was really good. 15 points. I thought he had some key steals for us as well. He hit some floaters. Emmanuel quickly continues to just get like steadily better. He's always been good defensively this year. The shot was up and down. It's come back around a little bit.
Yes,
like
it has.
Emmanuel quickly is playing some really, really good basketball. And, you know, I don't know, man. You keep hearing these rumors about trading. Like, trade Emmanuel quickly for what, man? Like, trade Emmanuel quickly for what? That's all I have to say to people out there. Like, Emmanuel quickly makes our basketball team better. If you can't see that, I'm not really sure what game you're watching.
Yeah, I would be devastated if they traded him.
Yeah.
And like I know he had that little slump, but the last 3 games, 19 of 30 from the field. 19 and 30. It feels like his shot is going down and he's getting confident. He's one of those players that once he sees that ball go in the net, that he's gonna get in the groove, and hopefully this is a stretch of games that we're gonna continue to see good play. Last 3 games, he's had over 15 points, like I said, 19 and 30 from the field. So he's been good at this game. So I'm gonna give him an 8. I'm gonna give him an 8.
Yeah.
Let's go with Hartenstein.
Hartenstein, he hit a 3 tonight.
He did.
That was nice. I think he had some boards for. Yeah, look, 7 boards. I think that's a good game for him. I'll give him a 6.
Yeah, he wasn't as bad. He was solid. Like I said, hit a 3 and all that. 7 rebounds is definitely. I'll give him a 6. I'll go with you. I'll give him a 6.
Okay.
I'll give him a 6. All right, Jericho Sims.
I'm gonna go 5, man. Sims is still a young player, so I don't want to kill him, but he just didn't really make his presence felt. I don't know whether that's more on him or guards not finding him, but he's got to figure out a way to do it. This is his second year of the league. He's got to be maybe a little bit more purposeful here and there. But I just didn't really feel him on the court tonight, so I'm gonna give him a 4.
Give him a 4. Yeah, I'm gonna give him. I'll give him a 5.
Okay.
I'll give him a 5 for Jericho. Let's go with Deuce to round it off.
Okay, Deuce was. This is what I'll say about Deuce. The stat line is not impressive. What I like about Deuce is that, people say he doesn't give you much offensively, which is true, but I think he's hit the few shots that he takes, he hits a couple of them consistently. And there was a point he came in, I forget whether it was in the second half, where he absolutely marauded Goran Dragic, who was actually going off on us a little bit. And he just stuck in Dragic's literally shirt pocket. And I think that energy that he brings gives us more energy defensively. So look, this is not a great stat line at all. It's 2 and 2, but I thought the minutes that he played, he was fairly impactful for some of them. I'm gonna give him a 6. I thought he played okay for what Tibbs gave him.
Yeah, and he hit a nice shot for his own bucket and all that, and he didn't play a lot. Played 10 minutes or something like that. So he played solid in those 10 minutes and all that. So yeah, I think I'll give him a 5, 5.5. I'm 5.5. I'm giving 5.5. So we gave our highest rated player was RJ, right? We were 9s, and I gave him a 9.5. And apparently, CP has given someone a decimal. I think someone said he had given someone an 8.75. So he even added another.
Okay.
That's what I read in the chat. I don't remember seeing that, but they said he get it.
Right.
He gave him an 8.75 and all that. So man, it's tough, man. This loss is tough, man. It's one that's you're gonna go to sleep and be like, man, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that?
It's not one that you want going into the holidays, man. They have a Christmas Day matchup against the Sixers, who are a really good team. I think they're 7-3 in their last 10. So it would have been nice to get this win, just to have a cushion, because the Sixers are going to be tough. But yeah, man, it was a very tough loss for sure.
Yeah, for sure, man. Tough, man. I'm just gonna read some super chats, and then me and Jeff love talking draft a little bit. So our people over in those ceilings dropped a mock draft. So right after I read some super chats, we're gonna talk a little draft. We're gonna talk a little draft and all that. So
listen, if you're gonna have a post game with me and Chris LeBron, I know Chris watches tape until his eyes bleed, the same with me. So we love draft. We're gonna get a little bit of draft.
Yesterday, I was watching Pepperdine versus Hawaii, and
there you go.
I was talking to someone, and they're like, "Why were you watching Pepperdine versus Hawaii?" I was like, "Because there's a guy on Pepperdine that is really, really, really good, and that's someone we're gonna talk about in a little bit." But let me read off some super chats. Like I said, appreciate everyone tuning into the show. We won't be too much longer, but if you want to, hit the Discord and chop it up with us, please go on the Discord, and we'll definitely chop it up before we sign off in a little bit. But we got Edgar Marr. He said, I got to give it to CP. because he wasn't impressed with the 8-game win streak. Meanwhile, Alex jumped out the window. We got our guy Chuck D. Appreciate, man. That's dope. When Chuck D sends sends love, to us. That's what he said. In the moment, my New York Nick Andersons. It's why the youth will, you win or learn. We'll take it. Vets know the moment, but our youth got the grit. We won't forget this. Good Jonah, Chris, Jeff, and then here there was another one. We have 48-34 team. They're going to be tougher losses ahead. I dig Knicks more than the NBA. I don't care about the other 2019s. When we lose, the entire league means nothing to me until the next Knicks. And that's truth, man. That's a lot of people feel that way because there's a lot of Knicks fans that don't know that don't watch any other teams or any ever type. Like there's no league pad. They don't care. They don't know what's going on. Like they just know everything about the Knicks. And they couldn't tell you who's on the Charlotte Hornets or who's on, the Pelicans and all that. It's just like, it's a fan base that is just, it is so passionate about the team that they don't give a damn about any other team, what's going on in the rest of the league and all that. Like, it's really wild. Like, I talk to uncles and they'll just be like, yeah, this and that. And now they go, did you watch, the Pelicans play? It's like, who's on there? I don't even know who's on there, so it's a passionate fan base, man. We definitely passionate, but appreciate Chuck D, man. That means a lot.
Oh yeah,
that definitely means a lot when he shows love. I always see he's always showing love to the program, but appreciate him. Like I said, we're not CP and we're not Alex, but and JD and all the crew. But like I said, once again, I appreciate CP for giving us this opportunity to hold down the fort. And hopefully we're making him proud. And we know we are not the feds. And us and all that. That was in the beginning too, Jeff. I was reading.
Not on the weekend.
I don't know if you saw me leaning. I was leaning a little bit, and I was smirking. I'm like, "Yo, all you saying is that we're the cops and all that. We look like cops and all that." And then, like I said, the Phil Jackson and that we're the Dollar Tree team, like we're the G League team. They called up the G League. I was dying. I was trying not to. I lost focus for a little bit. I was like, "Yo." We got called the G League. We got called Dollar Tree. It was like, oh man, it's all love though. Like I said,
Deuce and Jericho are in the G League. Like,
hey, exactly.
Twice a week.
Yeah. You got to come from somewhere, right? The G League guys in the NBA. There's good players that come from the G League and all that. So yeah,
Jaden Hardy for some ungodly reason is plays in the G League. Chris, I don't even want to get on that. I don't even want to get on that because that's so ridiculous to me.
And like we did our draft show when we did the draft show, and if some people haven't seen me, I'm you probably see more of Jeff. Do post game. I did one post game with Alex, but I was on the last two draft shows. If you trying to figure out who am I, because a lot of you are probably like, who's this guy host? That's not CP. Like you guys have probably seen Jeff, but not me. But I was on the draft shows and all that, and I was so high on Jaden Hardy. I love Jaden, and Dallas needs Jaden Hardy, and just let him just go. Like they lost Brunson, and you got Jaden Hardy. Just let that man cook. Let's let that. And so let's get into some draft talk before we Oh, we got one more guy let's take this one. We got one more guy in the calls. So let's take him before we get in there. And we got we got a whole lot of Joey's back. We got him back.
There we go.
What's going on, man? You back?
Yeah, I'm back. I gotta have another take, you know what I'm saying?
Go. Shoot, man.
I want you guys to get involved and I want to see like what your opinion is on this as well, but I don't know why Thibs is not playing Reddish or D-Rose. In diehard minutes, I feel like we need experience and we need lockdown defenders to clamp Levine down, Cam Reddish is that guy. He's him. And he's just not getting minutes, you know what I mean? And I'd just love to hear what you have to say, as well as Campbell and stuff as well. Your take on that. But yeah. That's just what I got to say. I think D-Rose and stuff and Reddish, they've got to get more minutes.
Jeff, how we feeling?
Yeah, I'll start with Cam first. So, it's tough, man. I was a big Cam fan early on this year. I thought he played really well when he got starters minutes. The team and the organization clearly favors Quentin Grimes. Which I think is fair. Quentin Grimes is a really consistent player on both sides of the ball. Of course, if you want to say that big buzzword potential, Cam's potential,
That for a while with Cam.
it's been like Chris just said, we've been hearing about it since Duke. We've been hearing about it since Atlanta. We've been hearing about
High
it
school, man. I think he played out in Pennsylvania. I've been hearing it for a while with him.
But I'm not gonna, talk poorly about Cam. Like I think the organization has clearly made a decision that he is not going to play until they find a trade for him. That's what I feel strongly about. I don't think he's going to see another minute of time. And, if they've worked through back channels with his representation and they've said, listen, we don't want you to play, until we find a trade partner. We don't want you to get hurt for that to impact a future deal we can make. I do think Cam can help this team, but I think the way that the team is playing right now, I know they just lost 2 games, but it's hard to touch this lineup too much because of the way it's been playing. And the only thing I would say with a whole lot of joy or a whole lot of Joey is I don't really think that either Derrick Rose or Cam Reddish, I wouldn't consider them lockdown defenders. If you want a guy that can match up with LaVine, I will say this about Reddish. There's been some times where I have seen him lock down a guy. I'll remember specifically there was a game against the Bucks, whether I forget whether it was against Holiday or Giannis. He got a really impressive steal where he kind of just very much anticipated where the ball handler wanted to go with the ball, just poked it away, used his length. So I feel bad for Cam because I think there is a really good basketball player in there. They've just clearly made a decision and they're going to stick with it. And it's hard to question that decision. You can question it now a little bit more off of 2 losses in a row, but I think his days with the Knicks are over. And as far as Rose goes, I'm not gonna lie, Derrick Rose was probably one of the most important basketball players on the Knicks last season. When he got injured, our season turned on a dime. When he was out, the poor results started coming in and fast.
The minute he got hurt.
He's
been one of the most important players the last 2 years. Even the COVID season,
absolutely.
He was top 3 6 man of the year. Like he was so important.
The trade turned our team around when he came here, and then even last year, even when we had up and down results, he was keeping the team afloat. And remember, in the beginning of the season, he was shooting something insane, like 50% from 3. Like it was ridiculous. Yeah. But the thing is this: in the beginning of this year, I don't feel like there's something that he was doing on the court that you couldn't get from IQ or maybe one of the other guards. And he just wasn't as good at the things that he's normally really good at for me to be getting consistent minutes. So I really commend Rose for his professionalism, the way he's handled it. But I don't think we need to see a lot of him, right now, unless injuries change or whatever. So I think that's just where they're at with Rose and Reddish.
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with what you just said. It's just Cam they're just waiting for the right trade partner, and like his days are definitely numbered, and same thing with Derek and all that. So we're not going to see much in Fournier too. Fournier hasn't played in a long time too, and So I don't know what they could get for him. There's rumors about the Lakers and all that with Cam interested in all that and Fournier. So we'll see what happens, but it definitely feels like they're just they're waiting for that right deal, and it seems like they're definitely working on in the back in the front office to try to figure out how to get those guys somewhere else and see if they can get any type of assets back to add to their 30 million picks that they have. So speaking of picks, like I said, me and Jeff we talk a lot of draft, and we were on the last 2 KnicksFanTV draft shows and all that. Our guys over at No Ceilings, Corey is he does great work over there, and the whole team is tremendous. I mean, it's really dope what they're doing. But they just came out with their mock. They did their mock. I think this is mock draft 2.0 and all. And the Knicks, they have the Knicks. The Knicks have the Mavs pick because right now the Mavs are. I don't even think they're in the playoff picture right now. So they have the Mavs pick at 13. So the Knicks at 13, and also their own pick at 20. So they took with the 13th pick. They gave the Knicks Maxwell Lewis, and that's why I was watching. And people ask, why were you watching Pepperdine versus Hawaii at whatever 12:30 at night? That's why I was watching Maxwell Lewis, because he's someone that, if you don't know about Maxwell Lewis, and I talked about this on my show with Stephen Gillespie, who's from those ceilings, and I had asked him, who are your guys, not who is the top, who are just your guys. He brought up Max Lewis. And Max Lewis is a really special talent. Like he's fun. He's a 3-level type of player and all that. He's someone that I feel like can really, we need wings, and like especially with Cam probably most likely not being here next year, we need to add more wings. You get a Maxwell Lewis, that is something that is that would be a tremendous get. But my one thing is that the guys they passed up on one guy I like, and I want to get your thoughts. And if you've watched him, Jeff, G.G. Jackson from South Carolina.
Oh, Chris.
Okay, so I get your feeling.
And
guys in the chat, I don't know if you guys have seen a lot. There's not a lot of reason to watch South Carolina basketball because other than GG, they don't really have a lot of talent. They're better than previous years, but South Carolina has been one of the worst. Them and Georgia have been the bottom of the barrel of the SEC. But this guy, G.G. Jackson, he was supposed to go to North Carolina, wound up decommitting and go to South Carolina. If you just watch this man play, this young kid, I'm calling him a man, this young kid play, he has superstar quality traits. Like he can handle the ball, he could shoot. He's got these great counters and all that. Just shimmy. He just has a whole bag in him, and is a raw defensive player, but he's only 17 years old. That kid learned that. So, in that case, I love Maxwell Lewis. I just wouldn't personally pass up on GG. I think GG Jackson's going higher. So I was a little shocked that he was that low, but I don't think if I'm the Knicks, you kind of also need to take some chances with the Knicks. I feel like the Knicks kind of played safe at times. And we've seen this the last two. I mean, they didn't even take anyone in the first round. Like they went from 11 to the next pick was taking Trevor Keels. So I feel like you take a GG Jackson at this point, if he's there at 13, Jeff, GG Jackson's got to be a pick. If we're just talking,
I'm on board with you. Like there was actually two other players besides GG in that mock that I was looking at, and I love Maxwell Lewis too. Like the way he drives the ball at his size, I think he uses great leverage when he's getting in the paint. But I don't know, Chris. Even tell me what you think. Like even Terquavion Smith, Grady Dick, those are two guys that, especially if we look at the way that the Knicks have drafted, I'm not sitting here saying they're looking for role players, but they have drafted some guys with skills that are complementary to the main guys that are already on the roster, right?
Yeah.
So Terquavion Smith is definitely a good shooter who tested the draft waters last year.
Yeah.
Ended up coming back, and I know early on in the season he was shooting it really well. He could shoot it from deep. He's been driving better. I think playmaking and defense are the areas where he's probably got to improve the most. Grady Dick has been really impressive for Kansas. Very athletic. Very good at driving the ball. He's been impressive in some of their games against big opponents as well.
Yeah.
So honestly, man, we're gonna have so many decisions to make. I actually hope if we don't get a star via trade and mortgage some of these draft picks, I hope, Chris, we can move up.
That was the next thing I was gonna say.
Yeah,
because we also have the 20th pick too.
I hope we can move up. I hope we can get within the top 10, maybe 6 to 8 range. You probably don't get either of the Thompson twins at that point, but there's still some guys, maybe there's a Keontae George. who knows? That's a guy that I really love from Baylor. I think he's got special shot making talent.
Yep.
So I mean, we say this every year. There's going to be players there. There were players there last year, like you pointed out correctly. We didn't take them. We seemed dead set on creating this cap space for Jalen Brunson. I love Jalen Brunson. No one's going to talk bad about Jalen Brunson. But you start to look at some of the guys, listen, Jalen Duren, AJ Griffin, they look pretty good. You just hope that even if we're locked into some of the players that we're paying and have on our roster, that we don't pass up on, top end talent. And I think some of these guys, especially if we move up in the draft, could really be top end talent for sure.
Yeah, and then at 20, they have the Knicks taking Jalen Wilson, who was big for them in their national championship as, kind of as a role player, but then with the bigger, with obviously with Abaji leaving and all that, and Christian Braun leaving, like, has a bigger role this year, and he's someone that is not afraid to let it go too. He's not afraid to let he loves to shoot the ball.
He loves
kind of reminds me of. Yeah.
He bangs down low too, which I like.
Yeah, he's 6'8", 6'9", and he's not afraid to just go at it. It kind of gives me like Kelly Oubre type of vibes and all that. He has that, and Kelly Oubre went to Kansas too. So those type of players, like long wings and all that, is somebody. I think the Knicks just got to take chances like that, but maybe package them those type of players. But like, this is a draft where, and I say this all the time, like, you don't need to tank in order to retool and rebuild, right? I think the tanking thing, I know Victor Wembanyama's in this draft, and I know Scoot Henderson's in this draft, and the Thompson twins, and and all that, but you don't need to tank. Like, the Knicks can, I don't, and this is, we were talking about this in December and all that. We still got a lot of basketball left, but they don't necessarily have to. Like, I know you hear fans say, well, if we're not going to be, a top, 5, 6 seed, whatever, like, we should just tank and all that. But it's like, you don't have to do that. Like, it's been shown, like, with how many, Jeff, look how many teams in the league that, and you look at their roster, you're like, well, they didn't tank to get that person. They didn't tank to get that guy. I mean, it's shown, it's been proven and all that. You can get good players with the 11th pick and the 14th. It's been done before, so like, there's no, you don't have to tank.
You could just look at Utah. They've never been a team with a lot of high draft picks.
No, exactly.
If I look at two of who I would consider to be the top 5 players in the game, Nikola Jokic and Giannis, those are both not guys who were lottery picks.
Yeah.
So, I think the Knicks invested in their drafting and scouting. Walt Perrin, like, I trust these guys, and I like the draft picks that they've made. Yeah. Of course, I may have some questions on guys that they passed on, but in terms of this past year, it was clear that they wanted to, create cap space to try and get Brunson, trade Burks' contract, whatever it was. So, listen, I trust them. You look at Quickly, you look at Deuce, you look at Sims, Obi, Grimes, all of these guys. Like Grimes, I can't believe him and Quickly were where we got them. I thought Grimes and Quickly, both different years, obviously, but I thought they were both going to go higher than they did, especially after Grimes kind of really showed at the combine. He had some really impressive showings, and I know that's what drew Scott Perry's eye a lot. So, I trust their scouting department to get guys wherever they land. It's just going to be interesting to see how we kind of make space for them, who ends up getting traded. But there's going to be talent. I don't want to go so far and say like, oh, this is going to be one of the most loaded drafts, because I think it's top heavy. I think it's better than last year in the sense that last year it's like a 3 or 4. Now I think you could say it's like the first 6 or 7 picks. I think there's some franchise changing talent there.
Yeah.
But there's going to be talent when we are ready to draft for sure.
No, for sure. And then a lot of people in the chat talking about Grady Dick, and Grady Dick he's a hooper. He's a hooper. He's a hooper. I was watching, I'm a Duke fan, and watching when they played Duke earlier in the season, like he really showed out and really showed people like, oh well, I'm looks could be deceiving. I could hoop, and he's someone
Yeah.
that's definitely gonna be climbing up. He could shoot, he could do everything. He's athletic and all that. There's another one, Jet Howard from Michigan is someone I think would be a perfect fit for New York.
He's
Guy who could
rising
shoot
up.
it.
He's getting a lot of good pub right now. He's been playing great lately.
Yeah, he could shoot. That's Juwan Howard's son, and he's a real deal. He's not just because he's a son. He could legit play, and that would be a great fit. Yeah, him in New York, like that would be a really good fit. Like I said, he's 6'8", 6'9", and can shoot. He's a sniper. He's one of the best shooters in his potentially in this draft. So that's someone that I think would be a good fit in New York. But like I said, there's a lot of good players, and like I said, obviously we had a long time before the draft, but we just wanted to just get people familiar with some names potentially, that we like down the line. I'm sure we'll talk a lot more as we get closer and closer, about a lot of these prospects, because I'm always on the internet, research. I'm reading the No Ceilings newsletter, daily. They always got great stuff, about a lot of these prospects. They deep dive into a lot of these guys, and just wanted to talk about that. But Jeff, man, this was a lot of fun, bro. Unfortunately, we didn't get the W. We weren't able to get the W today. But no, it was like I said, appreciate CP for letting me host, and appreciate you for ride shotgun with me today, bro.
Absolutely, dude. It was a pleasure. I know we've been in kind of like the same circles for a while now in terms of like draft and NBA. So always a pleasure to chop it up with you. Salute to Knicks Nation, everybody who watched tonight. Happy holidays to everybody.
Yes.
Stay safe. Enjoy that time with your families, and hopefully we can get this W against the Sixers.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I said, I appreciate everyone in chat. You guys
So
very
we got the
entertaining
cop
for
cars
sure.
here. You see this, Chris? We got the cop cars here.
Yeah, they think we're the feds and all that. No, you guys had the chat's always fun, but you guys are very entertaining. So appreciate everyone. Like I said, we're not CP, we're not Alex, we're not the same, but we're I'm glad we were able to fill in, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Unfortunately, like I said, it would have been better if we had got the W, especially with RJ Barrett. Great performance. With tremendous performance and all that. It would have been better, but make the best of it. Had a great show, and like I said, appreciate everyone for tuning in, and Jeff and everyone behind the scenes that helped us get prepared and all that. I've been ready since 5 a.m. I've been ready since 5 a.m. Once I, getting ready, wanted to make sure, that, I made the brand proud and all that. But salute to everyone in chat and all that. And salute to KnicksFanTV Nation. You guys are great. Like I said, wish it was on better terms, with the W. But like I said, Jeff, man, like I said, we've been in the same circle for a little bit. And then I always say this about Twitter, man. A lot of people use Twitter in a negative way and all that. But I feel like we've definitely use Twitter in the right way, just like with networking and all that. And it's allowed me to get from where get where I was to now. Now I'm hosting Knicks fan. I mean, I was a caller. I used to call. I remember the first time I called, it was when I think we lost by like 50. What was the game that meme everyone uses when the Knicks lost by like 50? It was against Milwaukee.
Yeah, where David Fizdale has a chalkboard.
Yeah, with Fizdale, yeah. We lost by like
That's
50. I called it. I remember calling it and all that. That was like the first time, and then like now I'm hosting it. Like I'm able to fill in and host. So it's definitely dope. So like I said, I appreciate everyone again for tuning in. Jeff, appreciate you. Like I said, ride shotgun with me, and like I said, everyone have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Be safe, please. Please be safe out there. And like I said, hopefully the New York Knicks, we end this losing streak, but things are still like let's stay positive. We lost 2 games, because one guy had 52 points, and DeRozan did some voodoo to Jalen Brunson. So think about that. Not all doom and gloom in New York. There's still it could be worse. Let's just say that it could be a lot worse. So like I said, appreciate everyone, and like I said, it's a great show. Like I said, again, be safe, guys. Be well. Take care, guys. Peace out.